Hello everybody. Thought I'd give you a different vantage point today. Talk to you, I'm going to name this video What Love Is. I'm going to try my best. Me being a little older now and I got a better idea of what that actually is, you know, beyond the regular passion, you know, the outside appearance and all that. But it says in I think it's John 3:16 about law, about envy and strife. That where there's envy and strife, there's all different kinds of evil going on there. And you know, and if you're somebody that's watching this video and you're in a situation where you don't know why you're there, what you're doing, and you're seeing, and you're, you know, and you're putting up with a bunch of stuff, then you have to consider, you know, what else may be going on there. Because not everybody views things through our eyes. I've had it to the point where somebody will look at me like, you know, out of envy, but at the same time, you know, their viewpoint was such that they kind of hard to talk about. They were looking at me like I was a solution, and wasn't really about any kind of friendship there, because I think in any relationship that friendship is got to be the first point. But in friendship, you don't use somebody else because of what you want. You got to do it for yourself, and when you're self-sufficient, then you're not looking at other people in, you know, in the manner that you got to keep what you got, and you're going to do whatever you got to do it and keep that situation so that you can get by. And because that isn't love, that causes envy and strife. Sorry, this video is going to take a little bit. Thought I'd give you a new vantage point, so you got something new to look at. I am working on a video editor thing, and hopefully between actually doing some research and putting together a video, you know, versus this, I think my ratings and my subscribers will go up. But I've had it where, you know, I like to help people when I can, but you can't help people that don't want to be helped. The first person I helped was a relative. I won't say who, just in case anybody watches the video, then they'll probably know what I'm talking about, but it's not public. And she approached me and, you know, was like, oh, poor me, my husband's doing this and that, and, you know, I've heard it before. Especially from her, and that seems to be an ongoing theme with a lot of females that they jump back and forth to different positions depending on what they're getting out of life. I'm not saying that all females are like that, because I don't know all females, but you know, the given scenario, outlook's not good, but I know they're not all like that. They can't be, because I'm not like regular men. So, you know, there's probably women out there that are, you know, following the normal range. And so I let her move in, and she had 2 kids, and her 2 kids moved in. Her kids were older than mine, you know, and I'm raising 2 boys on my own. And, you know, I'm working, and they're going to school. They're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But, you know, when the mom factor's not in there to kind of keep the checks balances, you know, either dad's going to be evil and mean, or the kids are going to get away with everything, because, you know, there's too many points of view there that are influencing them, and their friends become so important above the family, and they don't want to do what they're supposed to. And that isn't a type of love either. I've always stressed that there's certain circumstances you shouldn't be in, and that is one of them. After having gone through it, I didn't realize everything at the time. But my sister was there, and her 2 kids, and her boy is supposed to be going to school, and he won't, because he got put into special education. And all they want to do in special education, kids, a lot of the boys want to fight. You know, they make fun of each other, they call each other names. It's, you know, forced retardation almost. You know, they may say they're helping, but they're not helping. You know, if the mom factor's there and the mom decides that she's going to homeschool kids, then that situation becomes a plus. It's helping everybody out, where, you know, a single parent sending their kids to school and they can't get their kids to mind and all that. It's kind of hard to be a role model and set examples for your children if you're gone all the time. You know, it doesn't make a difference on what agreements you make with them. They're going to do what they want, and that's not the way to be. But, you know, because when they get older and they ultimately have done what they're doing and have been used to it, they're going to make a decision one way or the other whether they're going to be good or bad. And not all the bad ones become bad. I've seen some kids that actually turned around and became better for being put in those situations. And I've seen kids get worse, and it's just a total lack of attention that they get. But another adder in there is your children should never do anything that you're doing, because when you go to work and you're doing all that, then you're trying to take care of life. And if you're playing a video game and they get on it after school, then they will surpass you because they have a lot of spare time. And then if you ask them a question about it, then it becomes a matter of, well, Dad, you're supposed to be smarter than me, you know, and the lack of respect kind of starts to skyrocket, you know, because you're supposed to be smarter than they are. But it doesn't matter if you tell them to do it or not do it. It's still going to be there, because there's always going to be something that you're supposed to be better than them. See? So then it becomes a matter of not having them do those things because of that attitude. And it wasn't with just my children. It was other people's children. That the parents got caught up in this system, and it became a bad thing, and that's not love. So when my sister was there with me, and of course she gets a divorce, and she finds another boyfriend, and she makes her mistakes, and she pays for her mistakes. But I think that how things turned out was that she was looking at me for more help than I was willing to give her. I only made so much money, and and you're trying to make the bills, and you're trying to send your kids to school, and you need help too, but the other person doesn't want to give it to you. It really didn't turn out that well in the long run. I thought I was doing her a favor. She didn't want to return it. She became bitter and condescending, you name it. And when she got everything that she wanted, then everything that I had was not worth her time, and that is a form of evil, no doubt about it. The whole thing just turned backwards, and goes to show you can only help somebody so far, and the rest is up to them to do. Because love isn't in that scenario. She missed the point of what actual love is. So I had to suffer in the long run for it. The things that she should have helped with, she didn't. And it's like if my house is messy or my dishes are dirty or something like that, and a female walks in my house, my thoughts are, if you're a real female, to get your hands wet, do dishes. If you're going to complain about it, because if I'm in the situation where I have to do everything, then it's not going to be a relationship for love. I do what I can, but other than that, I can't do much more than that. And if I'm at work for 12 hours, I come home, I'm tired. By the time I make myself something to eat and take care of things around the house, I'm tired. I want to go to bed, and I'm getting maybe 6-7 hours sleep at the most. And it's not a good thing. There really needs to be two people there. And and I've always asked myself the question, that was it me? Because I'm always looking at me, but the answers aren't always, because I'm an introverted feeling, emotional wise. I might not always express everything that I need to express, but I'm a lot better at it now that I'm older and kind of work the scenarios out than I ever was. I did put practice into it. But still, it shouldn't have turned out the way it did. I have an extroverted view on life, and I tend to make adjustments for that. But if you're the only one that's making just adjustments, well, then there's definitely something wrong in the picture, and the love isn't there where it's supposed to be. Because the love, in order to be true love, it has to be family centered. And anything that anybody does within the family is for the family. And a lot of the kids, they miss that fact because they aren't taught that. And the most important thing about the family is doing things for the family, showing love for the family. And when your teachers aren't teaching you that, and your friends aren't teaching you that, and it's all lost in the mix-up, and your kids are confused because of what they're teaching at school, then it becomes a bad thing. And it calls for immediate retreat. Because you should never put yourself in those situations like that. So the first person I helped was very inconsiderate, didn't appreciate any of the things that I did for them. They pretty much lived there rent-free. And I can't say I didn't benefit some from it, but in the long run, when somebody looks at you like you're pathetic, then when you did a lot for them, a lot more than they ever will realize. Wasn't married to them. They weren't my girlfriend, and so there was things that were never going to be there. And so I could see a lot more about that individual. The second person that I helped was another lady, and she basically got in trouble because she wanted to be gone all the time. She didn't want to have to deal with the family. And she took charge and pretty much gave up on the family. She took charge and was driving truck for a living, and that neglect on her part really caused her family a lot of neglect, a lot of strife. Her ex-husband wouldn't leave her, and so her way of dealing with everything was just to be gone. And that eventually caught up with her, and she wound up without a place to live. And then social services got involved, and she ended up skipping town, and when they caught up with her, they took her kids away. And after they had all worked out, it was over a couple-year period, she's asking me to help her out by letting me stay there. She's going to get a job somewhere down farther south, like in Indiana or Ohio or something. And so I let her stay there. She was there for about 2 or 3 months. She did a lot better. I don't know if it was because of the social services thing, but she was there, hop, skip, and a jump, and she was gone off with some guy. And but she didn't really rely on the guys to help her too much. She was more into doing it for herself. That was one of the better people that I helped, but that kind of backfired too, because they had a lot of inner family problems because of that, and her ex-husband wound up going to prison, and then she's back asking me if her kids can move in with me with all those family problems that they were having. And I really wasn't sure what was going on. I just knew that something was amiss, and I got the feeling that I shouldn't do it, because then that would involve me and my kids, and I couldn't put my kids through that. And that was a really messed up story, and she wanted her mom to come live with me, and that would have just been awkward. The third person I helped was another family. I let them move in so they could catch up on their bills. But it seemed like he made... they had 2 boys, and then he had 2 girls from a different relationship. And he come to me one day, and my ex-girlfriend is letting me see the twin girls, and I just opened my eyes up. I'm like, well, that's because, and I told him that was because she's going to take child support out of me. And he's like, no. That was one of the sure things I knew. That was a proven seer kind of thing. I saw it coming 10 miles away, and I warned him. Well, sure, what guy wouldn't want to see his kids, but when you have a relationship and you're married to somebody and you got 2 boys together, and then your money's going to come up missing, and you're not going to be able to do what you need to do to get done. I thought it would be a mutual benefit, because the guy actually made more money than I did, and he should have easily been able to compensate. But for some reason, they got really behind on their bills. They were being threatened to be kicked out, and on, and I thought, well, they could move in, catch up on their bills, and then they could get ahead and be all right, restart. But that's not how it worked out. They looked at me like I was the sole provider, and they could spend their money on whatever they wanted to. And it really didn't help me out when I'm buying food for 3 adults and 4 kids. That was a real strain, and to try to get them to do anything to help themselves was a real strain. But they were looking at me, we're talking about the envy and strife, and they were looking at me out of envy, and then they were causing strife in there because things were coming up missing that shouldn't have come up missing. It was too much to come up missing. So and then I'm trying to replace those things, trying to pay my bills. It's not working out because their view on life wasn't very good, and then they were turning it on to me, and I didn't realize that at first. And people that are having troubles, instead of thanking you, they turn around and blame you, and they cause envy and strife within their families, and then it becomes part of your family. I should have realized that the second time, and I shouldn't have got involved, but I did. And well, after 2 years of that, I was in the poorhouse. It pretty much drained me of everything I had, and then I was behind. And then once you're behind, it's very hard to catch back up. Especially with the punishment systems that we have. It costs extra money. It's okay, you're late. You just got to pay extra. So, your car payment's extra, your house payment's extra. When you can't pay your consumers, that becomes extra. It's all extra. And when you're behind it, that extra isn't doing you any good. So it came to a point where Thanksgiving came rolling around, and we had made an agreement on the food that I'd come up with half the money for the food, and she'd come up with half the money on the food. She'd go do the grocery shopping, but that's not how it was working out. She was buying the cheapest thing she could buy for the $50. She was keeping her $50 to do with what she wanted to do. But when it came to him and his job, and he wound up losing his job, and there wasn't really a reason for that. And it just kept adding up and adding up, and it wasn't that my responsibility to do all that, and when I had talked to him about the bills and all this and that, and they just kept putting it off, and everything that they agreed on they didn't want to do, and when you consider that the amount of income over that period of time should have more than sufficed for any of their inadequacies, then I started realizing that there's something really wrong, and I had to figure it out. And what it was they had gotten into, I didn't know her sister was into prescription drugs, and they were doing the black market prescription drug thing. And so that's where all their money was going. And then because he was doing that too, he lost his job, and so whether he got hurt at work and got tested for it, I don't know, but he lost his job. And then started working down at the gas station, and instead of giving me anything to help me out or to help themselves out, I should put it that way, because that's really how it is. It wasn't to help me out, it was to help themselves out. And and he's trying to buy his wife a car, and I'm like, that's not working, because she's not working, she's not doing that kind of stuff, and you work 2 blocks away, why do you need 2 cars? Because like I said, he wound up getting a gas station job. Then so finally I couldn't do it anymore. I told him I couldn't do it anymore. Their children could do no wrong. My children were the bad ones. They were the ones that were breaking things. They were the reason why things were coming up missing. And that wasn't working too good. Because in like my point of view, and I'm sure my point of view is like all other men's points of view, is that you look at a woman a certain way, And if she's not a caring individual, willing to do certain things, and it wasn't asking much, believe me. And but